And we're live. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Loose Canon. This week, we are going to be talking about one of the previous season's lore books, Quintessence. We didn't talk about it last season for multiple factors, and it's kind of good that we didn't because the way that Bungie is doing lore now is they're very strict on the API. It used to just dump it all, and I think it was in Season of the Splicer. It kind of spoiled the
Yeah,
surprise ending of it all.
yeah,
And
Korea.
it revealed that Korea was a big player in it all, and they were like, "Uh-oh." And to fix
Mhm.
that, they give you like two entries 4 weeks in, and then another two entries every other week or something like that. So like right now, even though all the lore is obtained in the game, it's not actually in the API, which makes it difficult to gather show notes, which makes it difficult for us to talk about it. And even then, we have to wait 6, 7
Right,
weeks just to get the whole book.
right. Because we know stuff that we didn't know,
Yeah.
but there's things we still can't talk about.
Hmm. And it's like,
It's funny you bring that up about Korea because uh, remember when the first time somebody went through the Splicer mission and they looked back and they saw Korea for just that split half a
mhm,
second before falling off the cliff, and everybody's
yeah,
like, "What?"
yeah, yeah. I remember exactly. And it was like, is that Korea? Is it actually Korea? Or there is like some uh indecisiveness around it being like, what is it for real though?
Right.
And it was an exciting time, season of the Splicer, and it's an exciting time now. I don't think any of the lore books really spoil anything, but I do understand it's to be like
Yeah,
safe about it.
yeah. Because really, the lore around Korea wasn't all that like grandiose.
Hmm.
It didn't have that punch you in the gut. We kind of all really expected something like that to be connected with it, and
Hmm.
I think it was a little bit more confirmation than
Yeah.
anything. But at the same time, I don't know how I felt about it because it didn't seem all that um, shocking.
No, I mean it made sense that it would be Korea because you see Vex
Yeah,
doing nonsense and it's ramping up to Witch Queen, so it's very easy. And I mean everyone,
yeah,
but and that's kind of like my issue with it. Um, for years now, everyone's been going, "Oh, it's Korea.
yeah.
It's Korea," and it's like it's not Korea. Calm down.
Right.
And then we finally get it, and it's like it's Korea. I have evidence because the lore is out a little early.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, you know, such is life when you're in the spoilless business.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're kind of at the halfway point in the season, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think we're a little bit over, aren't we?
So I haven't played the past couple weeks because I've just been all in Monster Hunter Sunbreak, and I have no time for anything else. The only thing I did play in Destiny was I just did some dungeon runs, just trying to get a better Unforgiven. Just
Yeah.
quick in and out, like not really going for it, not doing any story or anything like that. So I actually don't know the conclusion of Keitel, and I heard there was an extra bit that happened this week. I know nothing about it, so I am excited to come back and see it um,
Yeah.
when I do get to it.
Yeah.
Uh, but just because the story's kind of concluded doesn't mean the season's over.
Right.
And I
Right. Because
think
we still have,
next week
you know,
is what's Solstice?
does it start next week
I think
officially?
it's next week.
What?
It's either next week or the week after, but I'm pretty sure it's next week. I mean, I don't think they even posted a roadmap or a timeline or anything, so
No.
it's just speculated as next week.
Yeah. How much would it suck if it just didn't happen?
Well, as I just said, I'm very distracted, so I wouldn't mind too horribly.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, it's
Right.
funny because this is a rough time for everybody right now because you had
Yeah.
holidays. You know, you had
Hmm.
like two big weekends, and everybody, for the most part, it feels like is on vacation or doing something somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's kind of like the lie that a holiday weekend is, where it's like, oh yeah, it's a holiday weekend. I'm just gonna play video games, and it's like, no, you're not.
nope,
You're
nope.
gonna go see family, and you don't really want to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do more working than anything on a on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I
Um.
mean, even vacationing can wear you out. It's
Hmm.
like, oh my goodness, I thought I was going to get away and relax, and all I've been doing is like looking for hotels and restaurants and where are we going to go now? And
Yeah.
yeah,
But so the lore book we're reading today, as I said earlier, is Quintessence. It's from last season, and I think it's a good lore book to kind of read now because it starts out with some Keitel stuff, it deviates a little bit, and then it kind of comes back to Cabal Keitel centric, even if it's not directly about Keitel.
right.
And it's, I think it is probably one of those books that like has slipped in, and we have evidence of it now. Slips in a foreshadow for oncoming seasons, and in the first entry, we get a foreshadow for this season. So I'm interested to see what other
Hmm.
secrets there are hidden within this book and within other books. And
Right.
it's exciting. It's exciting when you go back and read a book and you're like, wait a second, they fucking told us this was gonna happen. Like,
Yeah, that's sneaky, dude.
yeah,
I feel like I read a lot, and I still don't have even the slightest bit of an inkling as to what they could be hinting towards next.
yeah. And that's like a big question, right? Because it was easy when we were going into Witch Queen because it's like, oh, we're going into Savathun. We know who Savathun is. But now we're going into Lightfall, and it's like, what the fuck is Lightfall?
Right.
Like, are we gonna lose our light powers? Because I really fucking doubt that they're gonna give us 3.0 only to take them away, and don't take them away just to give them back after a mission again. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like, what does Lightfall represent? Does the Traveler leave us, and does it like go to Savathun? Because there was that like instance in the Witch Queen, like that final fight, I think it was, where Savathun took the Traveler, and it was like the Traveler didn't want to be taken by Gaul, who was able to suppress its powers, and it was like, no, you're not doing shit with me. But suddenly Savathun is able to take the Traveler. It just seems, I have a clanmate of mine believes that the Traveler was actually like kind of hedging their bets. They're like, "No, I think Savathun's better," and so then they went with Savathun, and then we kicked Savathun's ass, and they're like, I guess the Guardians are better, and then it came
That's
back to
funny.
us.
Yeah, that's funny.
So.
Well, you know, if the traveler and the darkness are ultimately tied together, and I mean, it could just be the long game. He's still kind of like, nah, you're not a part of the elite.
Hmm.
You're not a part of the elite. So control alt delete.
Yeah. Uh, but so we have a lore card this week. Do you want to get into that?
Yes. So holidays, you know, kind of interrupt things, and so on Destiny Armory Defined, I left it blank for a couple of weeks, and I just kind of recap because we had July 4th, and then we had Bungie Day. And that's really more about like the community and the get togethers and the gathers. And so I didn't want to isolate anything in the lore specifically because it wouldn't have been relevant,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it kind of would have interrupted with the flow of things. Plus, there was one in particular that I wanted to go back on since we're still very much in the throes of it with Eris. I don't know what it is about this season, but it feels like as much as Eris is a part of everything we're doing, I don't I don't really see the hard tether or connection that I'm supposed to, I guess, while playing. Because the story is, I mean, if you think about it, the story really has a lot to do with her in it, and she's
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of dialogue, voice lines. I don't think I mean, kudos to the actor too, Morla, but there's a lot of meat on that bone,
Hmm.
and I know that we're really centered on the individual characters that have to battle their nightmares and whatnot, but um, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something that unfolded to kind of like crescendo Eris's involvement with all of this at the end, maybe, hopefully. Um, but
Well, what do you mean by that?
well, so Eris is kind of helping us, or helping certain characters, bind and tether their nightmares so that they can overcome them and stuff like that. But if you think about Eris as a whole, she's got to wrestle with hers as well. And she's
Hmm.
already had all of that time on the moon, sitting there with all of her insufferable nightmares, and they just kind of hang about until I mean, she's got a lot to overcome too. Uh,
Hmm.
and then also, there's the tool that she's using, and how we attain that and how it's used, and it's tied to, oh, what's her name, um, Zivu.
Hmm.
The building of that tool was very much a part of the Zivu or Wrath um, stuff that we did, Season of the Hunt.
Hmm.
And what I don't really understand fully is how that's going to play out in the end. So I am excited to see the conclusion of the season. I can't
Yeah.
wait for it to end. But at the same time, I hope there's something like big with Eris. Um,
Really quick, while you're bringing up Zebu, part of me feels like, and it had this issue in Destiny 1 too, but part of me feels like Lightfall is going to be about Zebu. And it's like, well, what does that mean for the game? Like we just leave Witch Queen and we go right back into another hive centric. Remember that happened? Like
yeah,
we had Crotozan and then we had Taken King, and it was like, oh my god, there's so much hive, and it's like, yeah, there kind of is a lot of hive focus in Destiny.
there really is a lot of hive, and so what I mean, if I had all the money in the world and I was a part of Bungie and I could make it happen, what I would do is ultimately, this is all wishful thinking, but what I
Mm,
would do with Zivu at this point, knowing what we know and where we are, I would take her character at the end of this season and I would morph her into a new shape and be in control of a new enemy, but it takes the previous forms of all the connected hive, maybe even the scorn,
mm,
but to some degree it takes those forms and it just kind of like, okay, no more of that. Here's the new enemy, and then this is presented to you. This is the new face of the hive, which is no longer. It's now Zivu Araf's turn to come up
hmm.
with her own idea as to what a badass is that you have to fight now. And
I
then she
mean,
really
yeah,
kind of takes center stage as, haha, Savathun, I really hated you all this time. Yada yada yada. I'm the queen of war. And then she just kind of ushers in this whole like whatever. And
mm,
I mean, maybe Callus has something to do with that too. But anyway, that would be my way of doing it. I don't know
hmm,
what exactly that would look like. I just think that it would be really interesting. It'd also be a little bit shocking for people because she's kind of been in the background the entire time. We haven't faced her directly
yeah.
at all.
Except for the Wrathborn, but I mean that was kind of light.
Yeah, by proxy.
Yeah. But so this lore card then,
Okay, so I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation.
even with all those,
Trauermarsch. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna say it. Trauermarsch. Did I say it right?
I feel like you did.
Trauersmarsch. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. All right.
T
So,
March.
so it's German in form. It's a quick one. It's a quick lower card. It's called a funeral march, basically.
Oh.
Um, yeah. So it's a slow march song in a simple double or double. I don't know how you pronounce that word. Double meter. It's often played at funerals and funeral processions, also known as Dead March. So its most known, example is Frederick Chopin's iconic melody, which was used for like everything. Um, you'll immediately understand what I'm talking about when you hear it. Um, but it's been everything in like pop culture, like Beetlejuice, Monty Python. It shows morbid humor in like cartoons, stuff like that. And you'll know when you hear it because it's kind of like that iconic uh, song. And so a funeral march is a march that's in a minor key. It's very slow. It's a simple duple meter imitating the solemn pace of a funeral procession. So a slow march is often played at funerals and played for funeral processions. It usually um, is found like, oh, what would you say? Um, Oftentimes they'll play it in military when somebody's died or when there's a march to the actual burial site. Um, so it kind of has this like serious tone, but over the years it's kind of become like a joke almost.
Mm.
So I thought that was kind of interesting because if you look at the sparrow specifically, it has Eris, her symbol on it. As we know, Eris is a big, part of this season right now. And the flavor text is really interesting too because it says, "The dead do not often speak, but I always listen." Right? And so that would be most likely Eris saying that um, because it has their badge on the sparrow.
Hmm.
And then if you look at the sparrow, the whole front of the sparrow looks like a wheelbarrow for carrying, dead people,
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was thinking when you
Okay,
mentioned
so
it.
that's there you go. Okay, so the funny part of this is if you're familiar with like iconic scenes like in Monty Python's Flying or Quest for the Holy Grail, there's a scene where a lot of people are dying from the plague, and he's walking around with a wheelbarrow,
Yep.
and he's yelling, "Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!" And he's doing this slow marching song, and it's the funeral march, and he's people are like putting bodies in the wheelbarrow as he's carrying them away because they had to burn them. Right, that was the only
Hmm.
way that they could get rid of the plague. They thought was to take the dead people and burn them so that that wouldn't spread any further. Um, if you look at the sparrow, it's like I'm driving the sparrow around. Put your dead in here. I'm gonna take them and we're gonna go burn them. Um,
It'd be
just
cool if
really
it,
like morbid humor.
yeah. It'd be cool if it'd be like impossible to code this, but it'd be cool if you ran an enemy over and killed them if a body would appear on it. Like
Oh my god, that would be
if it would hold
perfect.
it on.
Too bad you can't. Yeah, like they get the ragdoll mechanic when you kill them, and then they fall
Yeah.
inside the bucket, and you can.
It'd be
That'd be
it'd
awesome.
be cool if there was like some magnetism to it where it's like
Yeah,
shooting this over a corpse of an enemy like before they just evaporate into nothing. They
right,
hang out on your sparrow for a bit.
right. All right, so I'm gonna play it because I think that it's important to hear it so everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. If you told
Because
me, I would have queued it up.
as soon as you hear it, no, it's fine. As soon as you hear it, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. I won't play the whole thing, but you can
Okay.
hear most of it. Ready?
I'm not hearing anything. If you're playing something, it's not coming through. Okay. Yes. That's not working, man. That was a good effort.
Is it
Just let
coming through?
no, just let me know when you want to do this.
Oh no.
I'll cue this up. Just let me know ahead of
Okay,
time.
just scroll to the bottom and you'll see it. Anyway, sorry. I don't know why that didn't come through. Could
You
you even
dropped this
faintly
on
hear
me at the
it?
last second. I would have had it
I know.
ready.
I wasn't going to play it at first, but then I thought it was kind of important. That is hilarious.
we
Why
we
did that
we
not come through?
we just cannot find the time to be professional.
Nah,
It just does not work.
screw that. Anyway, if you want to listen to the song, you can go to the lore card and listen to it. It's at the end. Um, it's a really serious tone, and it's a beautiful song. You know, with all humor aside, if you really listen to it, it's really nice. But um, it just has tons of references all over the place. You'll immediately understand when you hear it. What I thought was notable about it was there are parodies of the funeral marches that are used in like Alfred Hitchcock's show. If you're an old person like me, you remember how Alfred Hitchcock, black and white
Mhm.
horror type of show. Um, but they also appear in Hamlet, Midsummer's Night's Dream, which were both done by Shakespeare. So those songs often are brought about to signify, you know, the dead, you know, the dead funeral scene, and so many iconic things. Um, they used the Dead March as a title um, for these songs to kind of signify, okay, this is the end. This is the time to say goodbye to whoever the dead person was and the loved one or whatever that you cared about. And so um, there's even like what do you call it? There's even like a scene in Ray Bradbury's uh, sci-fi novels where he uses it as well, like a carousel, which is going when it goes through time and it goes backwards. It plays the funeral marching song as a way to kind of warn you, like this is what's happening. So wrap that all up in a nutshell. The sparrow kind of feels like to me they're saying something about this, like, so what does that mean and what does that represent for the game's current position in the lore? If you think about how it's tied to Eris, and the way it looks and what it represents about bringing out your dead, the loved ones that have passed, and the funeral march being the ending of that relationship with that person who's passed on, it
Hmm.
kind of feels like it's encapsulating what's going on with Eris and helping our major characters um, get over the burden of their nightmares and let them go on to memories, is what they are now. And so I don't know if that's necessarily what they're trying to do, but it feels like that. So whoever did the sparrow for this was being funny, but also kind of at the same time saying, "Hey, this is where we are in the game. You got to like lament, but also it's time to move on." And that's it.
Mm. Oh wait, nope.
Yep.
I hit the wrong button there. There might be a flash of my hitting the wrong button on stream. uh awesome. I don't know how to transition into the book now.
There's no segue on this show.
I feel like we do a decent job with segueing. That's probably one of our few good points. Okay. So books lately, one thing I've noticed, writing the notes for these new books is they frequently have fewer entries than they used to. They're kind of shorter, more concise, but they're usually like bigger entries as well to compensate. So like there are 5 entries in Quintessence. I think 5 is like their golden number now when it used to be more like 8 to 10. Um
Right.
but I mean that's fine. Um it makes it come by faster when it's coming once a week as well, so that's nice. Uh, I'm pretty sure Quintessence just came from like playing the story, so it didn't really have any of last season, so it didn't really have any like major things going on. I guess in this case, actually, the last entry is the biggest spoiler, in which you if it came out, you'd kind of be confused at the start of last season because it's talking about Saladin being among the Cabal and
Oh
rising to
yeah,
the rank of
yeah,
Valis.
yeah. That would suck.
So you would be like, what the fuck is happening? What is
Yeah,
this? And not understand why. And it was because
yeah.
like, you remember last season, we're doing the thing where we were capturing the Lucent Hive and subjecting them to the mind space, and it was kind of torturing them, and Crow wasn't a big fan of that. And so there was a little bit of a divide between the Quintessence story and the in-game story that we'll see in an entry later on. But so to start from the beginning, the first entry is titled Pith, I believe, and it does actually focus on Keitel. And I feel like it's very relevant to this season. Um, so I'll just read a little summary about it, and then we'll get into the details. Uh, Keitel
Or
enters a psionic mind space, which for a lightless being is like holding up a hazy mirror, reflecting back what is held inside. Inside Keitel's mind, she sees a magnificent image of Gaul, but without the light, she's unable to face him. Gaul leaves, revealing Torah Bottle, and then Amuna Wrath, and later Ziva Wrath, and finally a disgusting callus appears, and like I mean disgusting. I'm gonna read his entry, how he's spoken
yeah,
about, and he kind of like overtakes everything. So right at the beginning, she sees Gaul, so she turned far above her manifested the immense visage of Dominus Gaul. Dirty white storm clouds swirled to form the peaks of his armor. He burned with light from within, triumphant even in defeat. She shook her head. A guardian with a synaptic spear would be able to destroy this aspect, but she was lightless and could never share the mindscape with another. She looked up at Gaul's beatific face with rising anger, ashamed that her image of him was so magnificent. And right there immediately plays into the plot of this season, having her have this nightmare of Gaul looming over her. Of course, how could we have predicted the nightmare aspect coming back? But they were clearly like building that up right there.
right.
And then as I said, she sees Gaul and she can't fight him. She can't stop him from existing. But he goes away and it becomes Torah Bottle, and then it becomes Umunarath on Torabottle, and then dark smoke poured from her dead world and framed the screaming face of Ziva Wrath. Ziva Wrath towered in the sky, but now her father's corpulence spread to contain all she could see. His finery was tarnished, his purple silks dripped with rank saliva, his gold armor caked with pus. His form swelled grotesquely as it surged toward her. His wet mouth opened, lips slick with sweet fat. His bulging eyes stared widely at nothing. She saw the floor of the mindscape rise and transform into a barrier the scion was attempting to block Callus out. No, she commanded, her voice tight. The barrier dissipated. She walked closer, moving to meet Callus's figure. The floor reformed tentatively beneath her feet. Callus bellowed, and for a moment she was a flea on her father's enormous body. She moved through his cloudy form within his flesh, the air thick with the rancid stink of wine and blood and vomit. She fought her way inward through the billowing foulness of him, pushing deeper against the gagging smother of his heat. Her form began to lose definition. It threatened to be absorbed by the fetid system around her, and still she fought, until she reached the center where the form stood at peace in brilliant clarity. Her tusks studded with gems, her armor glorious, her eyes clear, her muscles strong. There you are, Cuddle whispered and smiled at herself. And I haven't played the story, but I imagine there is a conflict with Callus based on all the talking he's done. So another, I'd imagine, foreshadow to this season right here,
Right, right.
especially with
You
his
know,
his. Oh no, go on.
no, I was just gonna say this is important because to find her true strength, she has to venture through her present nightmare, which is this,
Hmm.
this horrible figure of Callus and, of course Gaul, but this horrible figure of Callus
Hmm.
that's been it's almost like it's almost like invading yourself to find yourself. You've
Hmm.
got to overcome the trauma that you're dealing with in order to get down to that subconscious mind and then pull out the strength of yourself and pull out and rise up and rise above your demons, your, if you will, the horribleness that happened to you, whatever it is that represents. So this is a good thing for a lot of people to read just in that, because if you apply that to yourself personally and kind of, if you gather any kind of feeling from that, um, know that that intent was to show, um, through the grotesque, horrible trauma, you can still somehow find your true self and rise above, is all I wanted to say. But it's nice to see this kind of humanity ascribed to Keitel's situation, because you think of the Cabal as just these mindless war guys, war, I say guys, but like war enemy, right? That just
Hmm.
want to march across the universe and just lay things in waste. But there's a lot more layers to that. And Kaido kind of brings in that whole dynamic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that's kind of what this season was. It's almost like going into this mindscape was like almost preparing for this season's events. The way that you said having to go into yourself is making me try to find, oh, I think I might have found it. I think it's in this. Find, it was that hidden edict or whatever it was called,
Hmm.
where Ikora talks about like what you must do to become one of the hidden, and it's like you have to know yourself and you have to destroy yourself and you have to recreate yourself or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I just can't find it.
yeah. No, I know. I remember what you're talking about. Yeah, that was a pretty cool little thing. It's great that you have so many perspectives working at Bungie that can throw these little tidbits in the lore. Because
Hmm.
if it was just one narrator the entire time, you'd probably lose a lot of stuff. Or thematically, you would see a lot of things just reoccur, like, and you would hear the same thing over and over, just told in a different way. But because there's so many perspectives and so many people at Bungie helping build this story and craft, they all bring in their own personal experiences, but they can also add this dynamic flavor to the lore that allows you to really feel like each particular character has their own individualistic uh, issues.
It was in front of me. It was in it's on Dragon Shadow, but Ikora goes into it deeper, and I can't actually find the one where she goes into it deeper. But so it's dictates, not edicts.
Mm,
Find thyself, know thyself, destroy thyself, shed thyself, embrace a new skin, become the many. We are unseen, we are as death.
mm. I like that.
Yeah.
Become the many.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
very anonymous there.
Hmm. Pretty
we are
neat.
we are legion.
Yeah. We are Legion. That's a good one. I like that
Yeah.
Rat King. I like that Rat King lore. That was pretty cool.
Did Rat King touch on that? I can't remember Rat King off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
there was a little bit of that in the Rat King.
Yeah, every show, I don't know what it is about like sitting in front of a mic, but it just makes me start to yawn anytime I'm like playing on online with friends and stuff. So I just want to apologize for
It's
yawning.
because you're using your brain and it's overheating.
Is that what yawns are for? Is that actually what they're for? Because I've heard that before. I don't
Yeah, I
believe.
think I told you this a long time ago.
I don't. I don't.
Scientists,
I don't believe that's what it's for, though.
well,
That's not.
so
That's not a thing.
there's there are several different usages for a yawn, but one of them is when your brain is overworked. It's like hitting an air conditioner because you're trying to bring in a lot of oxygen all of a sudden so that you can deliver that oxygen to your brain that's overheating.
I mean, that would make sense because nothing makes me go deeper into my brain than talking about lore. Because you'll say she has to like know herself, and I'm like catalog. What am I
Yeah,
thinking of? Just going deeper and deeper in because I'm like I have a faint memory of something kind of relating to what you just said, and I need to
that's
bring it
funny.
up now.
Yeah, that's
Um,
funny.
so I think this first entry really foreshadowed this season. I don't think the other entries foreshadow so much because
Nah.
entry 3 is Shah Han kind of just introducing new lights, which I mean, maybe there's some like foreshadow there. Maybe one of the new lights becomes a important character, but it's like
Ooh.
whatever of a foreshadow.
It'll be
Yeah.
that one thing that we all just glossed over and then we're
Yeah.
like in the next year going, holy crap.
Oh shit, wait a second. No, that's Caliban's hand. Um uh I was gonna say. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it when we get to it. And,
Good.
and the fourth entry is just about is that alternate take on Crow, and the fifth entry is about Saladin. Which I mean, we know what's going on with Saladin. We understand why it's important. But the second entry here, I feel, is potential foreshadow. So
Okay.
entry 2 is devotion and a summary of it. Saint joins Devon for an afternoon tea and brought his own teacup. His cup was chipped and the handle broken and glued back on. It's important to Saint because of the memory it brings from long ago. Before Osiris was exiled from the city, they lived together, and during a pointless argument, Osiris accidentally knocked over the cup and it broke. In that moment, they realized how pointless it was that they were fighting and they stopped. Devon asked how Osiris is because at this point Osiris is basically still in a coma, and I mean even
Yeah.
now, like this is way back last season. This is today. He's still in this coma.
Yeah.
And Saint tells him he's not good. His body is alive, but his mind isn't there, and it's like he's on a journey but can't find his way back. And then Devrim insists that Saint join him, Mark, and Soraya for dinner, which is a nice little moment. But this like focus on Osiris, and I think the key word is in this paragraph where after Devon asks, Saint says, "Not good." Saint quietly confessed, "He is alive, but his body is there. His mind is not. It is like he is on a journey and cannot find his way home." Or Saint shook his head. He honestly wasn't sure. No one was. It's that or
Yeah.
Saint
Yeah.
has some idea of what's happening. He shook his head. He wasn't
Spit it out,
sure.
Saint.
No, it was, and it's like, what the fuck were you gonna
Yeah.
say? Because that's it.
Yeah.
That's the foreshadow right there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And so like what do you do with that information?
Yeah,
Um so what where could Osiris be
yeah.
specifically in his own mindscape right now?
I wonder. So let's talk about that because since this book is so short, we have
Sure.
time to just we have time. We can encourage ourselves to go
We
off the
actually have
rails here.
time.
I know it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. um, what do you think Osiris's future is? Because part of me thinks one potential future is that he dies and Saint goes on a crusade to avenge Osiris, like
Yeah, that sounds
against.
good. I
Yeah.
like that. I mean, Saint is very much the type of person that um he's brute strength and
Hmm.
like uh it's funny because Saint's character is not I like Saint because from early lore we all thought of Saint as this head-butting warrior that just went, brute into everything. He
Hmm.
just like, crashes through whatever and just is like, I don't care. I don't want to think about it. Let's just go, right? Headstrong into
Hmm.
the fight without a care in the world. No plan, just annihilate and come back home.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but what's crazy is how much empathy and compassion and feeling he has. He's not a gentle giant. He's very smart and intelligent. He just has his intelligence is wrapped around humanity, and
Hmm.
he really kind of locked into that somehow. Like he might not be the most brilliant, self-absorbed mind like Osiris is in some regards, but he has this capacity within himself to just kind of hug and embrace the entire world of
Hmm.
humans, human like people, and say, come on, let's go. I will protect you, even if he can't,
Yeah. Yeah, like
which is,
did I share my crusade idea here, or did I share it with my clan? Because I remember I talked about it. I just couldn't remember where.
I don't think you said it here.
But yeah, so I was thinking like, and I think if this were to happen, it would have to happen next season.
Hmm,
Um, which would fall in line with this being a foreshadow if it is the
right,
foreshadow of the season after the next, which would be next season.
right.
Um, because if you do it in the last season, it's too soon to be like, okay, this just happened and now Lightfall, and then Lightfall has to be fully absorbed in what just happened with Saint. But I think if Osiris dies next season and Saint kind of is like, this is because of Savathun, and technically Savathun's dead, but with Amaru still out there, he has to go out there and get Amaru for Savathun to truly be dead. And so he launches his crusade just like he did against the Fallen, now against the Lucent Hive. And he goes after this search for Amaru, and he gets Amaru and brings Amaru back alive, like on orders of Zavala or something like that for like interrogation purposes or whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
basically gives the window for Imaru to resurrect Savathun, and then she just gets the fuck out. So
Oh,
like
wow.
in Saint's grief, he let her get away, you know?
Yeah.
And that gives you the final season, season 4 of I definitely talked about that here last week. Season 4 of Witch Queen. Um it allows you to resolve the Savathun got away by introducing a new bigger threat where you're like, we can't fight Savathun and this threat. We have to work with Savathun, and then you
Yeah.
go into Lightfall.
Yeah. That's a good thought. Huh.
That, or maybe Osiris becomes an exo. Maybe his mind. Maybe it's like the intent is that his mind and body are severed and they can't go back together now. He is alive, but his body is there, and his
And he
mind is
cannot
not.
he cannot no longer
Yeah,
occupy the body because
yeah,
it's, yeah, severed.
yeah. Like
That,
to give him like a soul. His soul has been exorcised from the body, so it can't re-enter now. It's just trapped outside of
yeah.
it. But technically
It's like what
speaking,
happened to Toland,
yeah. Oh yeah. What if that's what happened?
because Toland was exorcised from his body by the hive.
Was it done by the hive? I thought he
Yeah.
did it to himself.
I mean, I guess technically he did do it to himself.
I mean, that is what happened to Omar.
Yeah.
They took his
That is what happened to
they
Omar.
tried to take his solar, and they took a little bit of his soul with them.
Holy crap. What if Osiris ends up being a gun?
Well, I don't think he's gonna be any. I hope he doesn't become a gun. That'd be fucked up. And it's played out. I'm tired of things becoming guns. I also don't. The only thing that became a gun, in my opinion, is um Oryx, because we took his heart, his worm, whatever it was, and we literally
Yeah.
used it to create the gun, and the
Right.
gun stood as the embodiment of Oryx. People who are like, oh, but Whisper of the Worm is actually Zol. It's like, but it isn't, because Zol
It
is a
isn't.
separate
No.
entity
Yeah.
that's separate from the gun, and it's just kind of like using the gun to feed itself. And it's like, yeah, I'm not a fork because I use a fork to feed myself, you know?
You know, which begs the question, Eris's true ability, because at the most powerful person I can think of within Destiny is Eris,
Yeah.
uh,
I
because
mean,
she has,
she's got a lot of perspective.
yeah, she has a ton of perspective, and she only shares what's necessary for the most
Mm,
part. And sometimes when she's talking to the other characters, they're like, "Oh no, that's crazy," and they don't want to listen to her. But she's predominantly she ends up being correct in the end, even when she's wrong.
mm,
Even because she's like, "Oh no, I know what to do. Let's do this," and then she's like, "Oh no, that didn't work. I was wrong. I guess, Guardian, we need to do this other thing." But then at the end, she was right. She
yeah.
just it wasn't that time. And so every time Eris is involved, it's always like this back and forth struggle. Oh, I know what to do. I know what to do. I know what to do. Oh no, crap, that didn't work. And then at the very end, it works. And you're like, wait a minute, Eris,
Mm,
what do you know? There's a lot
yeah.
more to you than's being told. And I know, like, we could speculate on that forever, and people do. But what's interesting about that whole thing is if she has the ability to do certain things, then why not? Right? Why not have this future where, um, I don't know, Saint somehow and Osiris somehow, uh, you know, I'm sorry, I'm like stream of consciousness right now. So I'm thinking about what you said. I know. I'm thinking about what you said when you said Crusade, Saint, and Osiris, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all right. If Saint has to go out and somehow bring Osiris's anima soul, whatever you want to call it, back
Yeah.
to his body that's severed, just like what happened to Toland,
Hmm.
there could be some sort of connection there. If, and we know that the hive worms are no more. Well, I mean, we say they are. They're no more technically, right? Because of the raid, we know that the hive, there can be no new hive,
Yeah. Well,
sorta.
I wonder what nonsense the witness can employ,
Yeah.
because that was a bit
It
of
seems
like
like
all
he's
your
got
eggs in one
like
basket with that one.
Yeah, I know. It seems like he's got a lot of janitor keys, and he can unlock any door he wants.
Yeah. Also, really quick, because the way that you're making me think about Osiris being in the same situation as Toland, like what if Osiris literally is just like Toland? He's like an unsevered soul, and he's just like he's lost among the astral plane, or ascendant plane, and keep it within Destiny, the ascendant plane. But what if Toland wants a body?
Ooh,
What if Toland goes into Osiris's body? It's like, no, this is mine now.
ooh, and then he could try to rebuild the hive.
Do you think he would?
Absolutely,
I don't think that's
one
Toland's
hundred
MO.
percent. Tolan, without a doubt, would 100% try to become, I don't know, like a freaking wizard or something
All
of
right,
the
all right, all
hive.
right, all right. We are putting this into a poll on our Twitter.
Okay.
So we're gonna do this live. How do
Okay.
how do I phrase this?
Yeah.
Toland's soul takes over Osiris's body. What what does he do? And so you're saying he tries to rebuild the hive.
Yeah, yeah, a new version of the Hive, ushered in by Tolan and his newfound power, and by proxy raise the army that orcs once had somehow,
Okay.
but a different Taken, not Taken, something else.
So create a new generation of hive,
Yeah, of yeah, hive-like species.
hive like species. I mean, I think you would keep it with the hive, right?
Sure, because Tolan is just everything hive.
Okay, so hive like species. So you're
Um,
pitching that, and I'm saying what am I saying? I didn't get much farther past
then
just
the
taking over.
Crusades.
Yeah, just taking a
Yeah,
body, just being like, I just want this body. I'm tired of
yeah.
not having a soul. He just wanted a body.
He just wanted to buy. He just wanted to come back. Oh man, that would be nuts.
Okay, do you have any other pitches? We have two more.
No, I
Does
don't
anyone
know.
in chat have any pitches? I'll send it out before the end of the show, or at the end of the show. If anyone in chat has any pitches for what Tolan would do if he took over Osiris's body, let us know. We'll add it to the poll.
It's hilarious.
Okay, so
Okay.
entry 3 is cold forging, and we're getting to see some more of Shah Han, and I'm glad what they're doing with Shah Han now because they really introduced him as like worthless when it was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of ushering in new guardians. Also, my whole team just died.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Like what the fuck? At least let him save his team. Don't just kill them. Holy shit. But so he's still just doing his thing, and so Shalhan holds an introductory meeting of new lights in the Cosmodrome. The Lucent Brood are attacking there because it was the source of their initial downfall, which is like a throwback all the way back in D1, where we are revived in the Cosmodrome and we learn that the Hive were coming back, and that made us go to the moon, and that made us stop Crota, and that made
Yeah.
Oryx come, and we stopped Oryx, and then Savathun came, and
Yeah.
we stopped Savathun, and it's da 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 da. It all started in the Cosmodrome, and so fun little Easter egg there. uh, Shaw talks about the importance of what they do and how they're all a part of the Vanguard together, which is an interesting way that it's been phrased. He's like, yeah, we are the Vanguard. It's like, no, you're not, because the Vanguard is the three people, at least to the community. The Vanguard is the three people at the top,
Yeah.
two people at the top.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and the Hive are expecting them to be weak and easy to kill, but they won't be because he's giving them this speech. And while he's talking, a Lucent Hive Knight tried to sneak up on them, only to be taken out by a trip mine Shaw had placed. He snuck up, grabbed the Hive's ghost, and brought it back to the group for a demonstration. So he's holding the ghost. I don't feel like grabbing mine. I got mine over there. It's out of range for me. He's holding the ghost, and just like I said, I don't know if I said it here or once again if I was with my clan, but they're spiny, they're sharp, and it's like, how are you not
Yeah.
hurting your hand when you're grabbing that?
Yeah.
And my clan was like, well, they're grabbing the inside, but he's grabbing the outside because you don't always get it perfect, and it's like cutting into his hand. And he explains it takes considerable force to kill a ghost, and we've seen that where Petra bombed an asteroid and killed 3 fire teams of guardians, and
Yeah.
or Ada One used an Izanagi bullet and shot a warlord's ghost, fucking killed
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
very big damage, or paracausal, which guardians are, and crushes the ghost.
Yeah.
Um, the thing I got excited about when we were kind of thinking about foreshadowing here was trip mine grenades being like very useful here. Because he says, behind him, a sudden explosion sent a geyser of dirt and rusted metal high up into the air. The startled guardians huddled together, and this like happened in the middle of him talking. And you'll learn the importance of trip mine grenades, Han finished as he turned. So it's like trip mines have never really been that like good, but with Solar
Right.
3.0, apparently trip mines plus Young Hamkara spines are kind of busted. So it's funny
Yeah.
how
He
how
used them all
that
the
just
time.
worked out.
Yeah. That's my current loadout
Is
is
it?
Yeah,
I went back
spine
to
and
void.
trip mines.
I was digging Solar 3.0. I was using uh Galanor, Shards Galanor, and
Yeah,
that was really fun. And I got Caliban's hand, and I want to kind of work around them, but I don't have a build for it. And now all I can think about is how Arc is next season. And I'm like, I need to get an Arc build as well. And then I just got like, I didn't even have a Void build to begin with, and because my Void build was Glaive, and Glaive is not an option anymore. So, or not as much
whoops.
of an option anymore. So it
Yeah,
kind of just derailed all of my builds. And so
yeah.
I got a good Unforgiven, and I went back to Void, and I made a build that I'm very happy with. And I've just been sticking on that. And for Arc Hunters out there, while you're playing this season, keep an eye out for um, high mobility. Or wait, does it even need to be high mobility? It doesn't even need to be high mobility. High resilience, like maxed out resilience, which is not what hunters are usually running.
Right, because you have to get so up close and personal with the
Yep.
art ability.
So with arc, you're gonna have, hopefully it's gonna become the two aspects that you're gonna be able to slot in, and the ones that you're gonna want to slot in are gonna be Jesus Christ, what the hell is it? The one where confluence flow, where you punch and you get more kills.
Yeah.
It gives you increased damage, and then the one that makes it so after you dodge, you have extended reach. So
Oh,
those
yeah,
two
that's a good one.
together,
That is
yeah.
a good
So
one.
that right there is already like a cycle in itself. You get a punch kill,
Yeah,
it gives you your dodge. You dodge, you get your
yeah,
punch back. You get a punch kill, it
yeah.
gives you your dodge. You dodge, you get your
That's
punch
a good
back.
one.
And so don't worry about anything. Don't worry about mobility. Don't worry about strength. Get resilience and discipline. It's like not what a
Yeah.
hunter has kept for years, but next
I wonder
season
how
it's gonna
Lucky
be
Raspberry would
busted.
play with that.
Well, I mean, you should be running Liar's Handshake,
That's true.
but
But
Lucky
wouldn't that
Raspberry would be a good one as well.
you don't think Liar's Handshake would not proc as well?
No, I mean you absolutely have to run Liar's Handshake because that's the
Okay.
build right now. Like if you're running Gambit and you're a hunter, your one of the most fun options is a Liar's Handshake hunter because on Arc because it's just like yeah I can kill everything and nothing can kill me. So,
Yeah.
and that's why you want that
It's
resilience because there's going to be
yeah.
like those windows where it's like something can kill you, but that resilience will keep you alive, and then everything else will heal you.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
gotta learn the ways of the Death Kwando. Um, so I guess we'll just go into entry number 4, which is Shutdown, and this is a sad entry.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because Crow tries to do everything right, but everything goes wrong. With the Lucent Hive
Hmm.
defeated, he attempts to unplug a scion from the machines that held the hive in a stasis and trapped them in a mind space. But in doing so, he violently killed the scion, and all he
Yeah.
wanted to do
Like
was go
not
get
even
some
like a
ramen.
quick yeah, not even like a quick nice death. It was just
Yeah,
ugh.
and it's like nothing that he was doing like I remember in the in game they kind of made it sound like it was like espionage, but this was like he walked in and he's like I've got some good news. They sent the Guardian, and when the Guardian sets out to do something, it gets done. Imagine what we'll be able to make in the future when we're not busy squeezing secrets out of the hive after all this ugliness is behind us. Now, how do we shut this thing down? And then he just shuts it down. He doesn't think about it. He's not like,
Yeah.
he's just all right, it's time to close shop. And he's like he goes up he goes up to the Scion after he executes the command. So he walked toward the Scion as the lights on the machine began to turn red in sequence. Let's get you out of there, friend, he said as the Scion began to stir. It blinked slowly and opened its eye. Crow smiled and waved. Good morning, he said. Would you like to get some ramen? The pulsing current running through the tubes in the back of the Scion's head slowed, and Crow winced as white-hot pinpoint pain stabbed into his mind, shrieking a single word clear and impossibly loud. Stop. So The Scion is their brain is being melted right now,
Yeah.
and Crow just wanted to go get some fucking lunch with the guy. Like that's rough,
Uh,
buddy. Fucking holy shit.
that's pretty rough, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
And it
Oh,
like it kind of takes away from Saladin having to step in. Like I get why Keitel would be mad about it, but it's like
yeah,
he had negative uh deadly implications for this Scion. Like he was just like, I guess we're done
yeah.
here. Let's get you out of there. We've
Just straight up
succeeded.
stupid
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah, just did not think it through. Oh crap. Okay.
That's funny. And then the scion dies a horrible, painful death.
Yeah, he really did. And so then entry 5, which is the aftermath of Crow, and it's Saladin agreed to join Keitel and sit upon her what is it? Her war council, I believe it's called.
Yeah,
And so he became a Brachus among her war council, but the Cabal don't like it. You know, here's this human, this guardian, walking among them, eating their food, teaching them how to fight, you know, pissing everyone off. And so some Valis challenges him. And you know, Saladin's like, all right, I guess I'll just he doesn't want it to end in a fight. He wants it to end in reason, but Keitel like, that's not how the Cabal are. You have to
right.
fight
You
them.
gotta, yeah,
Yeah. And so it's single combat, blades only, one life, no light. Victory is chosen by death or submission. And they're fighting, and Saladin got the upper hand a few times, and he was like, "This is your chance to submit. This is where you submit, and I don't kill you." And the Valis is like, I would never submit to you." And so Brachus Saladin Forge became Valis Saladin Forge. Is
Oh,
he killed that guy?
I missed that.
You missed that? What do you mean?
No, I missed the Valis designation. I don't know why I didn't ever think of that.
It
Like that
says
was,
right at the end, Rise Valis Forge.
yeah, but I didn't know like that was like I just missed it. I just missed that.
How did you miss that?
I don't know.
That was such a big thing.
That is a big thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so he
he's
goes from Brachus to Valis. Like
he
I figured, I didn't. I just was wrapped up in the fight, I guess.
yeah.
But I didn't think about the Valis designation at the end. I was just speeding through it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
fair.
interesting, though. So Valis Forge, no longer Brachus Forge, Valis
Yeah,
Forge.
and I guess he's Lord Valis Forge.
Yeah,
Lord Valis Saladin Forge is his technically full title now.
weird.
Yeah. And well, that is the book Quintessence. It's an interesting book. I think it has a number of good foreshadowing points, which I hope to see play out next season.
Right. Going back a little bit here,
Hmm.
and thinking about what are the implications of Saladin being amongst the Cabal and helping them? And I know it's an ally thing, right? We want a representative of the Vanguard to be entangled with the Cabal, and it gives them more. It gives them more. Uh, it gives more trust for the Guardian to want to work with the Cabal if we've got a representative over there as well. But also for the Cabal, for us, same thing. It's kind of like a two-way street. Um, but if you think about like where has Osiris been throughout this entire game, and you go back to Destiny 1 and how when we were first encountering like the Hellmouth mission where we go down into the pit, and then there's
Hmm.
just that one word question, which was you know Osiris, right? And we're like, holy crap, why are we hearing Osiris way back then? But Osiris has been a key part of this entire story.
Yeah.
um, and so like we were talking about with Toland is obsessed with the Hive. He wants to be among the hive. He wants to be a part of the hive. But then he finds himself disconnected and torn away, and now he's just this floating orb of himself. And so if Osiris's body is disconnected somehow, and you've got if you try to tie this up in a bow and you say, okay, we've got somebody as an in for our connection with the hive going forward, if we're going to work with him, if we were going to work with the hive in some sort of capacity and help Savathun or align with Savathun or someone of Savathun's issues, brood, whatever, then it would be Osiris.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have Saladin Forge with the Cabal, Osiris with the Hive, technically, and then I couldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a world where Saint could use the Vex somehow, because everything he knows about the Vex. I don't
Hmm.
think he would align with them. He would just they would be like mindless autonoma at his disposal.
Well, I mean
I don't
that's
know.
that's something that happened. I mean that's definitely a possibility because that's what happened in the Dark Future
Yes,
when
yeah, that's
Eris
exactly
took
where my
over.
mind went. Was thinking about the dark future and how he wouldn't that play well? What if I none of this is speculation, but what if Lightfall very much was, we're no longer able to depend on the light. And so the Lightfall, technically means we can no longer use the traveler to connect with the light. We have to use something else.
Hmm. I would think it's a little crazy though if it's like, all right, so technically we have the Hive fighting alongside us, and we have the Fawn and the Cabal fighting alongside us. And no, now Saints controlling the Vex, so they're fighting alongside us. Like, all right, like who's an enemy at this point?
Yeah, it would have to be something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Some kind of like zombie thing coming at
Hmm.
us from all
Hmm.
sides. A bigger threat, ultimately a much larger threat. And I go back to Halo for this because in Halo the ultimate threat for everything is the flood. And the
Hmm.
flood is they represent like the zombie apocalypse for the entire franchise because you could be fighting against the elite or the brutes or all of the other enemy races at any given point, but then the flood suddenly come in, and it doesn't matter what you are or who you are. The flood will infect you, take you over, and you will become a part of their mind,
Hmm.
grave mind, and they'll use your body and run around killing others just to absorb because they just want to spread like a plague until everything it becomes the flood. And the only way to kill the flood is to kill everything around you or in the universe or in the galaxy around you.
Yeah.
Um, so if Destiny wanted to bring in a threat that was larger than all of the enemies that we have currently and make us align with those enemies to fight it, it would have to be something along those lines. It would have to be an enemy so great, so in its capacity that it could just infect everybody at any given time and take over everything whenever it felt like.
It feels almost like Bungie doesn't want to do that though.
Yeah. I mean, they played around with it a little bit though, because if you think about the
Yeah, that's what I
scorn and you
mean.
think about like the egregore and all of that and the
Yeah.
infections, and you think
And
about
Taken.
Siva and Taken, yeah, they keep playing with that.
Yeah, they're like they dip their toe in, and then they're like, but then we just have this like singular central enemy who's always nothing but an enemy, and we kind of want to have some gray area with a little bit of everyone, and that doesn't work. And like you have Kara, and I know they don't really like take over people, but I feel like they kind of exist in the same vein. And you have Taken, you have Siva, like you mentioned, and even Scorn now that you like you mentioned. There's a lot of it, and it almost feels like they introduce it only to stop. They're like Taken, never
Yeah, yeah,
mind.
you're right.
Siva, never mind. Scorn,
Yeah,
never mind.
yeah. I don't know. I'm really interested to see what's going for it. It has to be something just massive, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Has to. I mean, with the witness and what everything that character represents and how the darkness look to us, and they present themselves in these massive monolithic pyramid ships, and we still don't have like we still don't have like a physical form to identify with. I mean, we have an idea. We still don't have like a physical form to identify with the darkness or the witnesses' darkness. Uh, I mean, it's just like, my mind just goes all over the place. What the hell
Mm-hmm.
is that going to be?
Part of me, because we have Lightfall and then we have Final Shape, and it's like, how big of an army has the Witness uh accumulated, right? So like they had Rolk and they were making Savathun, and then Savathun was like, never mind. So now they're like, all right, well, I guess Zivu's good enough, and now they have Callus.
Yeah.
But so basically they took three of the entities that we already knew and are making them disciples, and the only one that's different is Rolk, who we already killed. So it's like, what are they going to bring to the table? Come in Lightfall, come in Final Shape. Like, are they bringing their whole army in, or are they coming in themselves and they have like 30 disciples behind them that we're not even going to
Yeah.
see? Because maybe that's where it goes after this. Maybe that's where it goes after Light and Dark, where we create a power vacuum. And no, it's not Light and Dark anymore, but it's people trying to seize control. Or maybe we kill the Witness in Lightfall, and it's like the Witness
Mm.
and the Traveler are destroyed, and that's why Final Shape it. That's what Final Shape is. It's this grand cannonball run for the fucking power vacuum that we just created.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. It brings in that whole like that whole like cyclical thing with the collapse and
Mm-hmm.
how like just like you pull up, when you create a power vacuum, um, something will always be drawn to it and try to take on the mantle of you know the ultimate power player, right? So no matter
Mm-hmm.
what happens, if you kill the latest and greatest baddie,
Mm-hmm.
well, you've just created a hole now, and naturally gravity pulls in who's ever the strongest to fill that power vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like, what do we do if we annihilated all our worst foes? Well, now what? Somebody or something is going to want to go in there and take that over. Like right now, Callus is doing that. Callus is doing that. Callus is trying to fill that vacuous void with
Mm-hmm.
himself, and he,
Ugh.
for whatever it is, I know we have more to deal with him. I know we
Yeah.
do. We
I
absolutely
wonder
have
when we're
to.
finally gonna fight him. Like, if we are, or if he's just like a background nuisance that we never really actually
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. Do you think because the reprisals of raids bring up a new thing. So are we for sure we're gonna see, like a revamp of Taken King?
No. Uh but because I feel like this answers your question anyway. If a raid goes into the content vault and comes back out, it doesn't come back out as a new experience.
It just comes back.
It just comes back as
Okay.
if you were doing the raid originally.
Okay. All right.
Because that was the standard they set with Vault of Glass. That's what they said it was meant to be. It was not meant to be Vault of Glass happens again and we're rewriting why we're
Right.
going in there or any of that. It is just Vault
It's
of
just going
Glass.
back to play with it. Okay,
So
cool.
whether it's Taken King or Wrath of the Machine or even if it's Leviathan, it will
It'll just
just be
be
the
going
experience.
back to play it. Yeah. And I guess lore explanations,
Yeah.
as far as they go, can always just use all of these things that they've brought in, like meditations and
Yeah.
mindscape and stuff like that.
It,
So
it would it
it,
would sit in the meditation sense, and that's why in the directory, uh, the legacy content being brought back are under the Legends tab
yeah, there you go.
or the
Okay,
Legends bubble.
yeah, the little and the director.
Yeah. because
Yeah,
it's not one of the tabs at the top. It's like instead of a planet, it's a legends,
yeah,
and so
I get you.
that's where Taken King, Wrath of the Machine, I'm trying to think of the other Fallen one that people really liked for uh farming anarchy.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. And two in Destiny 2.
Yeah,
With the city, you got to drive the sparrows down there real quick and get
yeah.
into the. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can't think of the fucking name.
What the hell
Oh,
was that called? What was that raid called? That was a good one.
yeah. I mean, it was pretty fun. Yeah,
I mean, I liked it. I liked that one because it was straightforward. You
yeah.
know,
It was
I don't
simple.
like. Yeah, exactly. I don't like super heavy mechanic driven because it just becomes mundane and like something you have to do to proceed. You
Hmm.
know, um, whereas like Wrath of the Machine, you can go in and just fight, and then it's like a lot of different things can happen. Yeah, there's a few mechanics, but they're simple and enough to just be like, or Crota, right?
Yeah.
Crota was
Oh, yeah. Or
simple enough.
Crota's End can come back. I skipped over Crota's End, which is kind of
Yeah,
rude.
yeah, that's funny. Crota's
I
End
don't
would be
think Crota's
fun to
End
play
would come
again.
back though.
That sucks because I really like that one.
I loved it. I really did. And I a while ago people were saying how Crota's End shouldn't come back or it should come back as a dungeon or whatever. And everyone's like, oh, it's so like disrespectful and blah blah blah. And I was like, I'm good either way. If it comes back, I loved it as a raid. I'd love to play it again.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't come back as a dungeon, if it comes back as a dungeon, that means they're building it with the intent to solo it, which is also fun. So it's like it's
Yeah.
win-win, like no
Yeah.
matter what I get, I'm getting something I'll enjoy. But if it's taking King, if it's King's Fall, I'll enjoy King's Fall. But King's Fall, like that was in that gap year of
Yeah.
Taken King and nothing else
Yeah,
era,
it
and it
was.
was like, man, this is my life. So I played enough King's Fall for myself personally.
We had a massive content drought. A lot of people forget about that.
Hmm.
Remember Prison of Elders and that content drought
And then
before
Prison
that?
of Elders 2.
Oh my God, that was just painful.
I mean, they had to do what they could, and there wasn't much they could do. They have a very interesting system right now. I don't know if it's the best system, but it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I think it's getting a little stale though. I think the mechanic wise of how the seasons are playing out
Yeah,
are kind of getting old. The repetitive nature of go do this thing and then it's done and then just keep doing it on the week thing and then that's
yeah,
the thing and then the new thing will happen eventually, but it's kind of just like the old thing you did last season, which is a new thing, but here's a bunch of new materials you got to invest time and stuff into to get the new weapon that because the old ones that you just farmed are obsolete. It's kind of becoming like uh, people are getting what's that word, it's not
fatigued.
necessarily burnout, but yeah, fatigue.
Yeah,
They're
and
getting fatigued.
I think that's less of an issue of the formula and more an issue of we've been playing this game for 8 years.
That's true.
Where it's like, man, I've just been playing this game for 8 years, like kind of nonstop as well. Where like other
Yeah.
games, it's like this big game where you invest a lot of time in and you do a lot of grinding and it's a lot of the same stuff. And then their next game is also the same stuff, but there's like a 2 or 3 year gap between those games, so you kind of forget it. You have this period where you don't want
Yeah.
to touch it and you patiently wait for the next one, or maybe not
Yeah.
patiently.
That's what happened
And
with Witch Queen. Honestly,
yeah,
I mean, a lot of people were just waiting for Witch Queen and they were
yeah,
like, I'm done playing this game right now.
yeah,
And then when Witch Queen came out, it was like, boom, here's everybody
yeah.
back playing. And they're like, holy crap, there's so much crap. And I mean, there's still a ton of stuff, right?
Yeah.
To play and go in. And as a casual like I play, I don't get burnout and fatigue like other people do because I just play something else. And I really don't have a super dedicated amount of time to play the game anyway. So it's still fun because I can just go in and shoot aliens
Hmm.
and then just have fun and come back out and then like I see what everybody's complaining about And I get that. Like when I'm playing, I'm like, oh yeah, I can kind of see what you're talking about. I try to empathize with the community's perspectives because
Yeah.
they're so wide. Like people, your headbangers and your casuals and your crazy all time just omni gamers that want every single thing that's in the game for their collection. That I can get it. I understand the passion. I understand the compulsiveness. I understand the obsessiveness. Because at any given time, when I want to do something in the game, it's all I want to do.
Hmm.
Um, and so it can be frustrating when you don't get a when you invest all that time and you don't get the ultimate reward that you were trying to
Yeah.
get. oh,
So we didn't talk about this before the show. I forgot to bring it up. Are we pulling it here?
no, I'll just poll it after. But it was just today.
Okay, it's
But
just
yeah,
today in general.
yeah, it's
I
just
didn't know
today
if
in
you wanted
general.
to announce the winner, like just their handle on live or on the show.
No, no, I
Okay.
won't do that. Yeah,
Well,
but what he's talking about, everybody listening, and for past listeners and the future of us, and for whoever else stumbles upon this podcast, I'm giving away a knife. If you don't know, um, I make props. I make a lot of stuff, but one of the things I make is a hunter knife, and they're kind of like these little art representations of a theme in the game or something outside the game that kind of ties into Destiny. And so for a lot of times, most of my orders are, pretty much the same kind of knives, but every now and then sometimes people will request something really cool. I haven't had a whole lot of requests lately, and some have been so personal I just don't share them, because they mean a lot to like the individuals who buy them, like specifically around their people that they're in their group or whatever. And so I'll make those for them, and I don't typically share those because that's for them. But I make a lot of these knives, and um, so I make Hamkara themed knives. I make hive knives. I make just all kinds of weird knives. And I have a knife that I'm giving away, and I'm not going to say what it is, but it's one I've made in the past, and some lucky winner is going to have it.
so you said mystery. So
Uh huh.
right now this is an Ahamkara. This is actually the first Ahamkara, isn't it?
Yeah, the very first one.
The very
You
first
are
one.
the originator.
It might not show well on camera. I'm holding it up to the camera if you're only listening, but it really does have like a bone grain to it, which is really impressive. I
Yeah.
was blown away when I saw that thing for the first time. And this is another one. This is a Vex one. I don't know if you mentioned the Vex one.
Yeah, so the Vex one, there are only two in existence.
You made a second Vex one?
I did. Somebody saw your Vex knife and a long time ago and said, "I want that." And I said, "You know what? I don't typically do that, but I will for
Oh, by
you."
no, by all means. Any of the ones that I
Okay.
request, if anyone wants it,
No,
by
I
all
know, I know. It's
means.
just that particular knife was a little bit like, outside the box.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was
I
a
love
cool
all my
one.
knives. Yeah,
Yeah.
these are so cool. And this one, uh, I don't think you mentioned this one while we were talking. This one's made out of speaking of callus, this one's made out of planet wine. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
chipped out of the planet wine. That's why it doesn't have like a pristine metal finish to it because
Yep.
it's not a very good workable surface.
Yeah, it's like
And
a chiseling crystal
yeah,
planet wine.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get it perfect. You just get what you get, and you
Uh-huh.
hope it's got a good edge. And so
Yeah.
I kind of came to Rhino with that, and he just came out with this, and it was I was blown away by it as well.
That one's cool because it has a translucent
Yeah,
mica inside of it, and so like when you hold it up to the light, you can really see it sparkle. That one's hard to show on screen because you just
yeah,
don't see all the.
you can kind
Yeah,
of see it. I
yeah.
can see it when I go like this up to my light.
There you go. Yeah,
But
I make a lot of translucent knives too for people. By far, the most popular for whatever reason is the Ahamkara. I just people will not stop ordering that damn thing.
oh man, that is so great to hear.
which
And
is cool. I like it. It's cool
yeah.
because it has that bone shape and it's leather wrapped on the
Mm-hmm.
handle.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed a teeny bit over the years, but it
Oh,
just
has
gets
it?
better and better. Yeah, it gets sometimes it gets like a really crazy bone grain, and
Oh
so
yeah.
if you're lucky to have gotten one of those, you have a unique one that you'll never see again. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the resin, when you pour it and you sand it, it just like depending on the mixture and the temperature outside, you get this really crazy marbling. And I
Mm-hmm.
just leave it because I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, that's really
You
cool.
gotta let it be.
Yep.
One of my favorite things with the One knife is I didn't mention this chain. He was just like, you know what this needs? It needs a
Yeah,
gold chain, and
it
it
does.
just came with the gold chain, and I was like, I didn't know it needed that, but you were absolutely fucking right. And the Vex
Yeah.
one, I didn't. I mean I mentioned that wanting like tubes with like a radiolarian fluid in it, but it's not really showing. It's not. I don't know why
Yeah,
it's not falling.
it kind of flows. So when you hold it upside down,
Oh, I'm
the
holding it the
Vex
wrong way.
fluid moves through it. Yeah, so that knife was really cool. And it glows in the dark.
There it goes.
Yeah.
So you can see how the Vex fluid ran up the blade and it's
Yeah,
really
there it goes.
clever. It's really clever because it's a powder inside
Yeah.
and so it's not a liquid, but because it's a powder, you don't see it falling. So when you get it just right, you just see it goes against gravity and it's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? It's going up.
The coolest thing about that knife is it reminds me of like an hourglass, and that's
Yeah.
time and Vex and all that.
Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
they're so great. So
Yeah.
this knife that is being given away, are you still able to enter?
Yeah, yeah, you can absolutely enter. So at I guess sometime this afternoon I'm going to close it, and so we'll
Yeah.
just say like an hour before the entry is over. I guess we'll announce it on Loose Cannon. You have 1 hour left before the polling is closed.
And so this one, I'm putting it in chat. I'm putting the link in chat to it. Or that's the quoted tweet. So go
Yeah,
into the original tweet. Oh no, that's the
yeah,
original tweet. I forgot Loose Cannon tweeted it. Um, that
yes,
one you said is a mystery knife because you
that's
wrote
correct.
this up. What is a mystery knife?
So it's a mystery, and when you open your package, you'll see what you got.
Ah, it,
So
it
one
it
lucky winner is going to get a knife, and they're not going to know what it looks like until they get it.
that drives me crazy because
Uh huh.
I wanna know what it is. I wanna know what it is so fucking bad.
So these are different knives for everybody out there. These are not your typical throwing knife you see a hunter use, or the ones the many that are out there for sale. These are like artistic representations
Yeah,
of hunter knives. These are not meant to be game accurate. They are in
no,
size, but they are not meant to be like the exact knife that a hunter would hold on his hip or throw in the air.
no. These are my
These are
knives.
yeah, these are knives created for individuals for them. And I did a really cool one a while back that was kind of unique that I didn't share, but it looked like a leather bound book with a bookmark in it of gold ribbon.
That's
And
awesome.
the person that bought it, it has the gold foil all around the edge of it too, so it looks like a book if you had it on the shelf and you see the gold foil of
That's
the gold
so
leaf on the
fucking
pages.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, but it was personal, and it had all of the names of their fire team, which I really liked.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, for all your hunter knife thematics
yeah,
needs, Rhino is absolutely the fucking guy to go to. These things are awesome. I fucking love my knives. I have another one over there, but I didn't grab that one. I gotta hang them all up again.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but so uh, enter. You have a little more time to enter. I'll retweet it one last time, and I guess that's gonna be it for the show this week.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah, very fun. So next week, not next week, next show will be on July 24th. I don't think that
Yep.
has any conflicts for me, so
Nope.
that should work great. And hopefully by that time, all right, no, I think we still have one more book from last season to cover, and then we'll be moving into Season of the Haunted and moving on from Season of the Haunted, and hopefully we have lore to talk about to
Yeah,
stay semi-relevant, or otherwise we're just gonna be going back to read Most Loyal.
yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Hopefully people come to the show for more than just us talking about the lore, because we hope to put on an entertaining show as well. So
Thanks, guys.
yeah, that's gonna be it for us this week. Bye everybody.
Bye.